We have a really broad relationship with NBC. We've been working on it for over a year at this point. So we've been rolling out different NBC properties, in particular those that have high, that are high center of gravity in and around video, right? Sight, sound, and motion. So recently we've implemented all of their different TV properties, or the TV sites. That's NBC.com, Sci-Fi, Oxygen, Bravo, etc. They also have a Spanish language business, which is Mundos and Telemundo. So we implemented those as well. Wherever there's video on their iVillage and CNBC properties as well, we've been powering that. So that we've had live for months already, but the last sort of 6 or 7 months, you can imagine, have been pretty all-encompassing around getting ready for the Olympics. There's kind of like 3 major channels that we're supporting, and we're making revenue decisions for that live and VOD content across sort of 3 different platforms or channels, if you will. The first one is obviously web, PC browser. We're also supporting their Android apps and their iOS apps. So for each of those 2 environments, there are 2 apps. An app that's focused on live streaming content, and then another app that's focused on replays, some VOD, and scores and whatnot. So we're powering both of those types of apps for tablets and smartphones, for Droid and iOS, as well as all of the web stuff. All of the live content is going to be authenticated across each of those 3 sort of channels, that I mentioned. So web and the 2 different app environments. So that's all authenticated. There'll be some clips and some free content available that won't be authenticated, but the vast majority of the access point will have to be authenticated. There are a variety of different sponsorship opportunities within each of the different events, which you wouldn't be able to see on television. So it's kind of bringing the best of web and I think TV together in those instances. But if you think about the in-stream experiences themselves, it's pre-rolls and different configurations of mid-rolls and pod positions, and really what we're seeing is that it's a television style ad sale and a television style execution, although they won't be the exact same ads that you'll see on TV. These are all dynamically served on the spot. We've had a long-standing relationship with Google and YouTube. Our programmers, when they sell their own ads and their content runs on YouTube, they can use FreeWheel to forecast and deliver those and sell those ads themselves. So that we've had for a long time. But this is a different sort of iteration, if you will, of the YouTube business, where YouTube is actually providing the streaming, content management to a certain degree, and also the video player itself. So it's really kind of a white label version of the YouTube player, into which FreeWheel and MRM have plugged into to do the revenue decisioning and ad serving for that. So it's an interesting relationship. We work with a large majority of the programmers out there. A lot of them are of the traditional television ilk at this point, including Fox and ESPN and others. With regard to how we work with them, with our MRM product, it's really around their revenue and their revenue operations. So I think what we're seeing in the industry is television and digital coming together, right? Traditional television ad sales forces working much more closely with their digital counterparts at a big programmer like an ESPN and an NBC, et cetera. So with our MRM product, we really want them to be able to sell like they do on TV and operate it as simply and effectively as possible, and that's really what we help them with. I think you have to really separate the difference between a traditional television programmer that is sort of experiencing their content being delivered over IP versus maybe like a portal, which has a large swath of inventory. Some of it they sell themselves, some of that they might sell through an ad network or put up to bid in a real-time exchange. But a Fox and an NBC really have ultimately a supply problem at the end of the day. The challenge they have is, we need more and more premium content to be able to be delivered not just on television and traditional linear channels, but also over IP and different devices and iPads and iPhones and Xboxes, etc. So they're really oversold at the end of the day. They're selling it like they do on TV. The traditional upfronts is a good example where some of that content has been sold on television, and it also runs on IP channels at the same time. So it's just TV regardless of the channel. So we haven't really seen our Fox and NBC type customers having the need to or having the desire to work with third-party resellers or put up their inventory or forbid. Really, they've already got it sold like they had on TV at high rates via premium sponsorships and premium ad products. There are very few programmers or major publishers that manage their own or have their own systems for ad management. I think that's true in display, more for traditional display publishing has been that way for a long time. And it's even sort of more complicated and more tricky as you bring professional video content over IP. So you've got those traditional television products, which are sponsorships and complex experiences over time, right? Video elapses over time. It's not just height and width like a banner ad. Plus you layer in complex television rights and rules between the programmers and different distributors, be they more virtual portals or the more traditional MVPD type customers. So between the ad experiences and the different rights and rules, it's a different ballgame. So it would be very complicated for them to develop their own proprietary systems, and I think as a result, you'll see FreeWheel. You know, at this point, we manage 21 out of the top 25 cable networks. So they're not technology companies, right? They're media and ad sales entities. We've been working on TV Everywhere initiatives with our customers, both on the business side as well as on the tech side, for like 2 or 3 years at this point. I would say in particular over the past 6 months, we've really seen those discussions progress, in particular between the television programmers and the more traditional MVPDs, right? The technologies have been in place for a long time. The challenge that we always have, or the industry has, is it's really sort of the legacy economics of the television business that have kind of held some of this stuff back, at least over IP distribution. And we've really seen kind of the horses line up at the beginning of the gate. They've been kind of milling around the back for a while, or at the barn, but now they're really starting to line up and they're getting ready to race, and we see that across the board with all of our customers, at least these television programmers in particular.